Kagame's Rwandan state of himself, collapsing. Written by David Himbara. Edited by Gabrielle Ndayishimiye. Published by Livin Books. Copyright 2025, David Himbara. All advances and proceeds from my memoir are dedicated to supporting Gabrielle Ndayishimiye. Gabriel reminds me of decades earlier. I arrived in Canada as a young, broken Rwandan refugee and transformed myself into an educator. Gabby too arrived in Canada after surviving the Rwandan military. Forced to flee with his family, he journeyed through Burundi, Tanzania, and Malawi. This memoir comes to you thanks to Gabriel's publishing house, Livin Books. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced in any form or by any electronic or mechanical means, including information storage and retrieval systems, without written permission from the author, except for the use of brief quotations in a book review. Our man is finished. Kagame's Rwandan state of himself, collapsing. Written by David Himbara. Introduction. Our man is finished. Kagame's Rwandan state of himself is collapsing. Delve into my memoir on my 7-year service inside General Paul Kagame's state of himself as we watch his regime collapse. This memoir uses the insights and observations that I gained during my 7-year service inside Kagame's powerhouse. Using this knowledge, I scrutinize how the Rwandan Iron Man manipulated his way into the global power centers to become the global elite's favorite strongman. We then proceed to discuss how Kagame went in the opposite direction, falling off the cliff to become the global elite's most despised strongman. As of March 2025, our man is finished. Kagame's Rwandan state of himself is in free fall, trapped deep inside the belly of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. Once the US denounced Kagame's state of himself on February 20th, 2025, after Kagame's armies captured DRC's territories, it was the beginning of the end. Other Western countries soon followed the US, leading to a chain reaction like a row of falling dominoes. Besides condemning the regime, the UK, Germany, the European Union, and Canada followed the US in suspending foreign aid to Rwanda, which usually amounts to $1 billion a year. By March 2025, the Donald Trump administration had dropped 2 bombshells. First, the administration fingered General James Kabarebe as the central figure in Rwanda's military operations and the extraction of DRC's mineral resources. Zeroing in on Kabarebe was the same thing as zeroing in on General Kagame himself. There can be no question that apart from Kagame himself, Kabarebe is the central political and military figure who played key roles in driving conflicts and exploiting the DRC's mineral wealth over the past 3 decades. The U.S. Department of Treasury, USDT, best explained Kabarebe's 30-year history in the DRC. On February 20, 2025, the USDT issued the following statement. Kabarebe is a Rwandan government liaison to M23 and orchestrates RDF support for the armed group. In addition, Kabarebe manages much of Rwanda and M23's generation of revenue from the DRC's mineral resources. He has coordinated the export of extracted minerals from mining sites in the DRC for eventual export from Rwanda. Then came the Donald Trump-Felix Tshisekedi Mineral Wealth Pact. It all began when Tshisekedi offered the U.S. exclusive access to critical minerals and infrastructure projects in exchange for security assistance as DRC battles a rebellion backed by Kagame's state of himself. By this initiative, DRC sought a similar deal between Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's bilateral agreement. By jointly investing in DRC's critical minerals and other valuable resources, the U.S. would sharply increase its mineral security. Crucially, Tshisekedi sought to establish a pact that would give American companies access to the most coveted minerals for the energy, transport, and tech industries. DRC emphasized that as the world's largest supplier of cobalt and a major producer of lithium, tantalum, and uranium, its resources are integral to U.S. industrial competitiveness and national security. It is in this context that the Tshisekedi government insisted that a partnership between the US and DRC presents a unique opportunity for the United States to establish a reliable and exclusive supply chain. Meanwhile, the people of Rwanda are facing a historical turning point with one certainty and one apprehension. The certainty is that our man is finished. The global elite's favorite strongman is now the global elite's most disgraced strongman. The apprehension among the people of Rwanda is what happens in the post-Kagame phase. Who will replace Kagame? This is a million-dollar question for the obvious reason. As shown in this memoir, Kagame systematically destroyed all Rwandan institutions to build Kagame's state of himself. In so doing, he also demolished the leadership in government, the private sector, and the civil society. Filling the enormous leadership vacuum in Rwanda is the powerful Kagame family strategically positioned in the Kagame state of himself, led by his formidable wife, Mrs. Jannette Kagame. Put another way, Rwanda functions as a deeply personalistic regime, overwhelmingly controlled by a single dominant ruler, Paul Kagame. This authority is reinforced by his familial apparatus, led by Mrs. Kagame, who wields a fierce and unyielding power from the shadows, echoing the notorious Queen Kanjogera of the 19th century. But can Jannette Kagame rule Rwanda on own after our man is totally finished? Would the Rwandan generals Kagame scattered overseas as ambassadors regroup and seize power? Would the suppressed political parties and leaders in and outside Rwanda achieve their ultimate goal of uniting and leading Rwanda? We Rwandans are in familiar territory. Rwanda is yet again confronting a dire power transition moment, the sixth power crisis in our history. In 1895, 1931, 1959, 1962, 1973, and 1994, Rwanda was plunged into a power crisis, with the power incumbent either assassinated or exiled. Rwanda has yet to experience a peaceful transfer of power since 1895, when King Rwabugiri's successor, King Rutarindwa, took power only to lose his life and entire family in 1896. The coup d'etat leader against Rutarindwa, Queen Kanjogera, installed her 9-year-old son, Musinga, as king. For 129 years, from 1896 until now, power in Rwanda has come from the barrel of the gun. We conclude this introductory discussion with irony. Kagame acquired his title of being the global elite's favorite strongman by spending millions of dollars on the American lobbyists who advocated his cause in the US in particular. Tshisekedi has borrowed a lesson from Kagame in this regard. Tshisekedi tapped American consultants to facilitate meetings of US and DRC business and political leaders, leading to the initial connections between the two countries. Tshisekedi went a step further, tasking the US businessman Aaron Poynton to lobby for the US-DRC partnership that involves economic and military collaboration. In the NSD-FARA registration dated February 21, 2025, Poynton outlined the purpose of the US-DRC partnership to the US government as follows. As the world's leading economy and a champion of global stability, the United States is well positioned to forge an enduring partnership with the DRC, a nation that possesses over $24 trillion in untapped reserves of critical minerals, including cobalt, lithium, tantalum, and high-grade uranium. These resources are indispensable to 21st century defense, technology, and energy industries. The February 21, 2025 NSD-FARA filing indicates that DRC is seeking a strategic alliance with the US to end the foreign-backed wars. Read Rwanda. For over 2 decades, the DRC has faced security challenges linked to foreign-backed militant groups that exploit its natural resources. These activities have led to over 15 million Congolese deaths, making this the deadliest conflict since World War II. Most recently, on January 22, 2025, hostile forces seized 10% of Congolese territory, targeting the highest value mineral deposits. The part of the proposed US-DRC strategic partnership that will send Kagame to the nearest mental hospital is the military component. The DRC proposes granting exclusive operational control to US firms. ensuring American oversight of a key African mineral export hub through a defense partnership. Our man is finished. The book has an author's word, introduction, postscript, and 21 chapters that are organized in 3 sections dealing with 3 main themes of my memoir. Section 1 comprises 9 chapters that deal with the competing theories and debates about who truly runs Rwanda. I demonstrate the fact that Kagame's dictatorship is unequaled in the world. The Rwandan constitution he engendered grants him immunity for impunity even in retirement. Section 2 comprises 4 chapters that examine the violence and the victims of the Kagame's regime, including my workmates who perished serving the regime. Here, I pay particular attention to Madame Kagame's role as the chief enforcer of the regime's brutality, with her Imbuto Foundation grooming zombies that become obedient ministers of the regime. Section 3, with 9 chapters of the memoir, takes a closer look at my personal story of serving and surviving 2 terms, amounting to 7 years of service in the Kagame's powerhouse. The section shares my traumatic experiences that included a heart attack after being denied permission for a leave to seek medical attention. My story includes kidnapping attempts and poisoning. My life in Canada turned into a prisoner's lifestyle, especially after President Kagame denounced me in the Rwandan parliament that Himbara is petty criminal and thug who run away twice and gave testimony against Rwanda in a friendly country. He was referring to my testimony in the US Congress regarding his human rights abuses. In chapter 21, which concludes the book, we look at the deranged Kagame is breathing fire, declaring that he didn't know if his armies were in DRC. He boasts that he would spit in the face of Western powers if they threaten him. He lectures that Rwanda is an economic powerhouse that no longer begs for foreign handouts and pity, and that DRC leadership is infested with genocide ideology.